At the beginning of the film, we see a red Mercedes driven by Danny Meehan, nicknamed the Bone Crusher, a former captain of the England football team. He is bored in retirement, and to add some thrills to his life, he drives the car at high speed, meanwhile downing whiskey from a bottle. He stops at a bar, orders another drink, insults the cops, and then even hits them in the face. For assaulting police officers and driving under the influence, Danny received 3 years in prison. His football career ended abruptly when he was accused of organizing fixed matches. In prison, the warden Hatchet immediately made it clear to Danny that he was nobody here. He was given a uniform and all his belongings were taken away. The inmates gathered to greet the former football star with shouts and curses, as he had betrayed his country for money. After that, Danny was taken to the senior guard, Mr. Burton. Tomorrow, the prison head will speak with Danny and offer the celebrity a position to coach the prison football team, and he must refuse. To make sure the footballer doesn't mix things up, Hatchet hit him with a baton. Danny was shown his cell and then taken to the work area. He, along with Doc, would be cleaning garbage around the prison grounds, for example, feces wrapped in paper, which inmates throw out of the windows at night. Doc sent an assistant to the well-known gangster and shadow boss of the prison, Charlie Sykes, who was serving a 30-year sentence. Once he lost a lot of money on an England vs. Germany match when one player suspiciously missed a penalty, so Danny owes him. In the cafeteria, the newcomer was emotionally greeted by the psychopath Nitro, who claims he can get anything for him. At the table, Massa sat next to Danny, a rival of Nitro. He could offer the footballer both chocolate and soft toilet paper. Later, Danny was seated next to an Iranian and 2 black guys. They didn't like him immediately, as with all the other inmates. They brought a chained-up muscular inmate into the yard. He is the legendary monk from Broxhurst. He was sentenced 6 months ago, but he is still kept in a separate section. They say he killed 23 people with his bare hands before he got into karate. Even the guards fear and don't touch him. As promised, Danny was brought to the prison head. He praises his semi-professional team. This year, they have a chance to win the league and move up, and Danny's experience could help them. But, as agreed earlier, Danny refused. The head realized that Burton was sabotaging him, and he was tired of investing money into the team without getting results. Burton believes that a convict cannot be made into a coach of the guards team. It's lunchtime, and Kitch harasses Danny in the cafeteria, but it doesn't escalate to a fight. Guards break it up. Burton sprays Danny in the eyes with pepper spray, but only he is thrown into solitary confinement. The next day, the head calls the footballer again. Danny asks not to be touched. He just wants to serve his sentence. Then it's unclear why he attacks inmates and guards. The old man orders Danny back to solitary. Massa gives him some food there. He also suggests that Danny organize a match between inmates and guards. Allegedly, it would be their best training. This plan suits both the head and the senior guard. Massa is pleased with the idea, and Nitro says he could also become a professional, but there is one problem. He loves making bombs. The prison head is fond of betting. He just lost 5,000 pounds. Ratchet constantly pressures another inmate, right now because he made a new friend. Danny wants to see Sykes' men in his team, but the boss forbade them from playing. There is a fan of Danny in the prison, even wearing a shirt with his number. Bludger asks him to teach some tricks. At the same time, the footballer notices strange things happening in the prison. Doc explains that Sykes advises the head on which bets to place in exchange for newspapers. But the newspapers are not ordinary. They are soaked with acid. So, effectively, the head turns a blind eye to the supply of prohibited substances in prison. Nitro turns informant, offering to share important information if moved to a prison with better conditions. Danny overhears this conversation. The monkey learns new tricks. Ratchet continues to bully Massa, and when he snaps back, Ratchet starts hitting him with a baton. Nobody, except Danny, defends the poor guy. He is immediately restrained and thrown into solitary. Massa throws him a small ball so that his friend doesn't go crazy. Since Danny is a valuable inmate, he is released after a while and brought to the field. There, the black guys, grateful that he saved Massa, are ready to join the inmates' team. Danny and his manager Massa rate the players according to their abilities. Danny's neighbors are especially good. Sykes' right-hand man, a Scotsman, would also not mind punishing the guards, but the boss didn't allow it. The gangster bookmaker threatens the head that if he doesn't return $5,000, they will smash his elbows and knees. The head of security threatens Meehan, telling him to watch his back. In the director's office, they found a jerry can, and the car itself was soaked with gasoline. Nitro wants to take Mass's place, claiming he would be a better manager. I have refereeing experience. We've all been judged. That's why we're here. Danny refused. Luckily, Nitro likes him. Otherwise, he already blew up 5 people. He couldn't join Nitro's team, but he had to somehow harm Danny. Then the bomber lied to Ketch, saying the footballer was friends with the head of security and had betrayed them with their acid-soaked newspaper. Together with the Scotsman, they cornered Danny and were going to gouge out his eye.
You know it's not me. Which one am I gonna bust? You choose.
But the footballer fought back, and when the guards entered, he didn't turn in the attackers. Thus, he proved he was not an informant. Moreover, the Scotsman apologized and offered himself and a few good players to join the team. To avoid problems with Sykes, Danny made a deal. He would bet on the game and choose the match outcome himself. The boss scolded the footballer for betraying the national team, but suggested he would probably bet on the inmates' team. Bludger really wants to join the team, and Danny didn't disappoint his fan. The head complained to Sykes that the bookmaker he recommended threatens him and is broke because he invested all the money in the guards' team. Doc explains why he has been in prison longer than the others. One guy wanted to mess with him outside, so he threw a grenade, left over from the war, through the scoundrel's window. He didn't know the man had a wife and a 1-year-old child. This crime can never be redeemed. Sykes thought it over and allowed his men to participate. But there is one condition. Danny must fight his man, so no one thinks they became friends just like that. Psycho Nitro already hates his idol, and Hatchet transferred him to solitary, so the informant wouldn't be killed. Danny was supposed to fight Gentle Nick, but he feels unwell, so he fights the strong Ketch, who has 30 wins and no losses. The chained fighters hit each other in turn, and after each hit, drink local moonshine. Ketch's blows are crushing, like jabs to Danny's face. Moreover, he knows some tricks. Inmates and guards place bets throughout. But the Bone Crusher's jaw is strong, and so is his tolerance for alcohol. And Ketch was knocked out after getting a mug of moonshine in the face. That's how Danny secured the support of Sykes' men. Now the players needed to gel and learn tactics, but all they knew was how to push themselves to the limit and crush their opponents. The only thing left was to find a goalkeeper, and the Scotsman unexpectedly suggested Monk. He could have become a professional if he hadn't gone crazy. Rumor has it, he ate a cannibalistic murderer. Sykes came personally to negotiate about the thug, since Monk had to be pulled out of the special sector. In exchange, he hinted to the warden to bet on the guard's victory, and he would make a lot of money. Monk refused to play football, but immediately changed his mind upon learning that he would play against the guards. During training, Monk angered the Iroquois, who broke his nose, then claimed it was an accident. Danny promised Burton that his team would give them a hard time. Guards and inmates trained constantly, and both sides approached their preparation seriously. Sykes informed Danny that a lot of money was bet on the game, and the convicts' team had to win. The Scotsman, with the help of Monk and Bludger, showed dirty tricks they could use against the guards. When Bludger volunteered, he didn't realize there were 23 moves, and he barely survived them. Doc said he was doing great. Hatchet demanded that Nitro do something to Danny, otherwise he would be sent back to the general cell and killed for snitching. At that moment, Nitro was assembling a bomb. The warden's secretary was smitten with Danny. She gave him video recordings of the guards' games and their dossiers, and he paid her in kind. While the inmates were discussing the guards' weaknesses, which they now knew, Nitro planted a bomb in the footballer's locker. Danny had forgotten some notes in his cell. Doc volunteered to bring them. On his way to the cell, Danny confessed that he had thrown a match because fame had gone to his head. He was squandering money and once ended up owing serious people. He had a choice, either miss a penalty or remain permanently disabled. At that moment, an explosion rocked the prison.
But that did give me 2 choices.
Hatchet had Nitro sign papers for transfer to another prison. Nitro thought paradise awaited him, but in reality, after signing, he would be sent to the prison mental hospital, from which he would never get out. The inmates said goodbye to Doc. "Perhaps now you've atoned for your sin, old man." Danny cleaned his boots. Match day arrived. The whole prison welcomed the team. Burton told his players not to fall for the inmates' provocations. They had to demonstrate their superiority with skill and win cleanly. Danny also addressed his team. If they win, they would remember it for the rest of their lives. Many inmates would have loved to be in their place. They were all ready and filled with team spirit. Sykes spoke next. He explained that Doc had saved money his whole life and managed to do something by uniforms for the team. To ensure all inmates knew what was happening on the field, 2 of them commentated on the match. The teams entered the field, and the Bone Crushers' uniforms looked cooler. Danny asked his men to avoid dirty play and use it only in retaliation. But as soon as the referee's whistle blew, both teams immediately started playing dirty. He would have run like that on the night of his arrest. The first team close to striking the opponent's goal was the guards.
He shoots. Oh, just past the post.
Almost. And that was just a little bit too close for Campbell.
During the counterattack, Danny took down the head of security. Danny's free kick was successful. The ball hit Hatchet right in the groin. The next shot was aimed the same way. At one point, Monk scored an own goal and ran to the opponent's goal, and no one dared ask him to go back. Players knocked down opponents and pulled them by their shirts. During the free kick, the ball ricocheted and flew dangerously toward Monk's goal. The beast got carried away, imagining he had gone berserk to destroy all the guards at once. But he composed himself just in time and saved the goal. Troy carried the ball almost to the goal line and passed it. The Iranian failed with his famous bicycle kick. Danny finished the pass and scored the first goal of the match. 5 minutes remained until halftime. Monk continued running around the field like a normal outfield player. At some point, the match turned into an all-out brawl, everyone against everyone. Even the commentators got into a fight. That ended the first half. Sykes lied to the warden that he asked the convicts to throw the game, but they didn't listen. The Iroquois had his nose broken again. Bludger would replace him on the field. The warden was furious. He threatened the prison staff with dismissal if they lost. He also approached Danny and began blackmailing him, saying that Nitro confessed to the murder and revealed that it was Danny who sent Doc into his cell, making him an accomplice to a killer, punishable by 20 years. So, his team better not win. In the second half, the footballers started messing up in defense, losing the ball and failing to pass. The unpredictable Monk went into overdrive again, defending shot after shot, with unbelievable flips and jumps. The brawl continued on the field. Bludger demonstrated just how terrible he was at football. He constantly lost the ball and couldn't score in an empty goal even from a few meters. During the scuffle, a guard spat on the Iranian's back of the head. That was too much, and the man just punched the offender in the face. For that, he received a straight red card. The convicts were now a man down. Monk had more work to do, but at least he stopped running too far from the goal. Troy once again did all the work and passed to Ketch. He struck brilliantly, and the goalkeeper couldn't stop the ball. The score became 2-0 in favor of the convicts. However, Monk got carried away and started dancing with the ball near the penalty area. The opponent didn't forgive such audacity, and the guards reduced the gap to 1 goal. Everyone was shocked that Monk admitted his mistake. Another ball almost went into his goal. The convicts were shaken. Danny looked particularly bad. He pretended to be injured. Burton did not like such behavior from the opponent. Massa was also disappointed. He hadn't thought that their captain would betray them, but he still hadn't made any substitutions, leaving 11 guards against only 9 convicts. And then the score was tied 2-2. Danny changed his mind and went onto the field to win. However, the team no longer believed in him. Troy didn't pass to him during the attack, so Danny had to do everything himself. He ran all over the field and did everything alone. Meanwhile, Monk once again tested Hatchet's groin. The ball went into the guard's goal, but the goal was disallowed because Hatchet had been injured earlier. A penalty was awarded against Monk, and the maniac handled it. The ball was kicked to the center of the field, where only Danny and 1 defender were present, whom he dribbled past. He went one-on-one with the goalkeeper. The The goalkeeper brought him down, but Danny got up and stopped with the ball right at the edge of the goal area. But he didn't take the shot. He let the crooked-legged bludger do it, and he smashed it into the empty net with full force. The convicts went ahead right before the final whistle. They won. Danny looked at the warden and realized it was better to win with his team than to obey him. The warden approached Danny and promised to ruin his life, but Burton stood up for him and thanked the footballer for a good game. At that moment, the warden's car exploded. The bookmaker sends his regards. The warden ordered Danny to solitary, but he was refused. He handed over the ball and said to put it in the trophy cabinet.